Nexo Technologies. Satish has close to 6+ years of data science experience where he advises companies large and small on their data strategy. Satish holds a PhD from University of Minnesota and BTech from University of Mumbai. Over the last 6 years, Satish has helped global pharma, e-commerce giants, healthcare companies, and startups to solve complex data problems to drive meaningful business outcome. His core competency lies in applied maths and statistical modeling, deep learning and cognitive analysis. Satish is passionate about applying maths, technology, design thinking, and cognitive science to better predict and improve business function. Can we have a big round of applause for Satish, please? So before we start for a workshop, let's be a little more enthusiastic and energetic and welcome the second guest with even a bigger round of applause. So can we have a bigger round of applause? All right, thank you. So the second speaker who will speak along with Satish on this topic is Mr. Soumendra Dhani. He's been working as a data scientist for a number of years now, having led data science teams at startups like Imbibe in education tech space, Belong in HR space, Rbus in transportation space. Currently, he is working as a consulting data scientist with Lemoxo. He is leading a team of data scientists to build deep learning-driven solution for medical imaging problems. We welcome you both to NASSCOM Product Conclave, and over to you. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. I'm on. Yeah. Thanks, Rohit, for the introduction, and good morning, everyone. Let me jump directly to the workshop. So what we are going to do is I'll talk briefly in terms of, I'll give you the perspective in terms of the deep learning. So where we are, why do we do this, why now, and then we'll really jump on some of the technicality stuff. And at the end of the talk, I will share what we have been doing for last 1.5 years in the stealth mode in terms of some of the very nice applications, real-time business applications of the deep learning. Because there is always a challenge. People say, hey, this is just a R&D stuff. This is just a prototype. People, you read a lot of blogs and Medium. This is not there. Are we there? Are we not there? So first, I will set the context. I'll give you a perspective. And then Soumendra will get into the real detail technicality. So since it's a NASSCOM Product Conclave, I think I really, I was just thinking, what should I say? But everybody is building right now it's a Product Conclave. So let me talk briefly about the data products. Okay, so what is the data product? So right now, this is such a gray area, believe me or not. If I go to right now and if I ask, everyone has a different definition. Data product is different for investors, for coders, visualization, I mean for anyone. So what is data product is really difficult to ask. So right now, let's have a kind of the common definition where we actually see what is the data product. But before we get into that, so right now, for last 4.5 years with this data science, I think we can safely say that I think we are there in terms of the big data, right? So 4 years back, it was kind of abstract concept. People were not sure, but at least we are there. People can say yes, there's a big data. You see a lot of adoption from enterprise, right from the startups, to the enterprise level. But even I'm not a big fan of big data because right now, even if you take the engineering perspective, no one can really tell you how much is the really big data when you really invest into the big data architecture. So no one really knows how the data should be big enough so that I can start thinking about investing, right? Everyone knows why they are mobility, social media, blah, blah. There are many reasons why we are there. But right now, in last 1 year, we need to welcome one more buzzword in the industry, and that's hello, it's artificial intelligence. And now, we need to really think about that. What's the AI and what's the big data? So there are a lot of confusion. What is machine learning? What is deep learning? But right now we can safely say we are there in big data, and right now we are just welcoming the artificial intelligence. Now this is the definition I feel is the data product. And when you look at it, it's more of like this is like more of a common sense. The how we already know this. But what the caveat here is right now big data. What majority of the startups and the big enterprise are not thinking is the big data is the data products are the product. While building the product, you do lot of cohesive analysis. So the data products cannot be built unless you really do some analysis. That's where the analytics come into the picture, right? So I'm going to share some of my experience. So data products are the products, or the products along with we need the data, but also along with we need the analytics. Some people, they only build data products, they don't do analytics. Some people try to do analytics without having enough data, but the real definition is the products are not possible without the data, right? The next big question is what makes a great data products? Anyone? So one definition which I see is all the internet-based right now companies are, at the end of the day, they're all data product. Because whether it's a mobile product or any other product, all are data product. But what makes the data product cool? Pardon? Visualization, user experience, anyone else? Okay, so let's see. So this is one of the favorite data product. Everyone knows what is this. So this is how to get from Aun to the Westin Hotel. So this is the Google map, right? So this is one of the widely used data product. This is of course there are many more data products in the, on net, but this is my favorite. You know why it's favorite? Pardon? The best part is users has to be, he can be completely layman and still he can use it, right? So he doesn't know what's going on in the behind. So believe me or not, there are a lot of complex stuff happening when you access this. Data gathering in real time, lot of computation, lot of prediction in terms of traffic, what is the historical traffic and now what the traffic would be. But the best part is for users, he doesn't have to know what's going on in the behind. That's the beauty of the data product, right? Widely used data product in right now in the industry. And there are many, I'm saying. So the best part of the data product, we have the data, we have the cool user experience, but the best part is user experience. I don't have to know what's going on behind to really use this product, right? One of the interesting product, I'm sure everyone have seen this. So one of the interesting product is the recommendation engine, right? And one thing, let me tell you, this is not a solved problem. Lot of startups, lot of enterprise are working on the recommendation engine, but I strongly believe we are not still there yet. I'll give a small my personal experience. So there's a Bangalore-based, one of the top, it's not Flipkart, so I'll just save you efforts. So Bangalore-based, one of the very good, the e-commerce company. So they are trying to implement the recommendation engine, and they already tried 5 different data science vendors. And the reason is they want all the recommendation engine to be effective within 1 month, within 2 months, right? Believe me or not, we are not even there yet. Even if the Netflix, and because everyone gives only 2 examples whenever you hear any talks. Netflix recommendation, Amazon recommendation engine. I don't hear any third best recommendation engine, right? Or you can help me, right? Have you heard about any third best recommendation engine, right? Hmm? Correct.
It sends you 5 flows free of cost at your address in the US.
Correct.
And then you choose which flows you like, and the rest you give away. And then based on the flows that you keep, it starts understanding your fashion sense, and it starts sending out those 5 flows that you're likely to buy the next time.
Okay, so
their cost structure is based on free shipping. So the recommendation engine really has to be good.
Okay, so again coming back to that point is, these are isolated examples, but by and large widely used. One of the top most recommendation, people have only 2 answers, either Netflix or the Amazon, and there is a reason for that. But that's where the big opportunities are there, and that's where right now lot of efforts has been going on in using deep learning to really create. So there are cool applications of recommendation engine which we have also has been working, which are completely image based, right? So image based recommendation engine, right? But again, we are not there yet. That's the point I wanted to try, right? So people, as I say, recommendation engine, data product, people have been talking for a very long time. So what's new? So why we are talking about right now? So what's new in 2017, right? So it was there in 2016, 2015. So that's the real, the deal as well as the business opportunity. So I'll quickly go through. So one is, so these are the numbers, look at here. So the stuff which were not possible 5 years back, 2 years back, from 0 to 1, which I was not able to do it, but I am able to do it. So that kind of thing is possible, but even we are able to take it at a scale. So we are able to do 0 to 1 now in some of the very, very cool application based on thanks to deep learning research and the AI research. But we are not only able to do 0 to 1, we are able to do 0 to 1 million or 10 million. That means as cheaper, at scale, at a the massive, the reach is also high. So that's the stuff is possible at least right now in the 2017, which was not possible like 4 years back or 2 years back. So some of the stuff which was not possible, 2 years back, right now we see it's possible now, right? And not only possible, but we can do it at scale and cheaper, very affordable. So one, definitely the kind of the trend I see, there are a lot of layer of abstractions we are getting. So the stuff which you will take days and the weeks and the months to do it, there are a lot of companies who are making, side of we don't need data scientists, the coders can do data scientist work. So you see a lot of platforms are coming, right? And these platforms are giving us more power to do more work, which otherwise is not possible. So we see trends last 2 years, more and more layers of abstractions are coming. Whether it's H2O, whether it's Anaconda, whether it's a TensorFlow, more and more, which gives data scientists a power to do it. So that's clearly a trend, and as a data scientist, I think we should definitely leverage that. So a lot of people are not even using those layers of abstraction, right? So that's why. Second thing is right now, as a trend is, there are a lot of natural language-based interfaces are coming. This is CNN and there are many. So here, not only I can use the natural language, I can use interactive fiction, but as well as the structured, unstructured data. Whether it's a customer satisfaction chatbots, or whether it's a chatbot in healthcare which helping doctors or nurses. But there are more and more natural language interfaces or smart searches, you can say. So that's clear trend right now in 2017 for last 1 year. So that's another big opportunity for all entrepreneurs and the enterprises to build the data product. So one is definitely use a layer of abstraction. Second is there's a definitely lot of interfaces based searches are coming, right? And the meaning. Third, and the most important part is now, right now, slowly for last 1 year, enterprises are realizing the value of the data. So for most of the enterprises, the data is the side effect of the business operation, right? It's like exhaust of my business. But right now, I think the trend is people are realizing that I'm collecting lot of data. Big data is there. I'm investing in big data. How can I make sense? And how can I make sense is directly correlated to I can build data products on my data. Believe me or not, that's the trend is going to continue. The enterprise, the startups will build their own data product on their own data right now. Because so that's where the whole perception is, that's what the entire ecosystem has been trying, So one is layer of abstraction, second is the interfaces, third is the data. But one important puzzle which in my last 6 years of a data scientist, I see a missing part is really high value problem. So that's where the startups, the big enterprise, the mid-sized company is, I have the data, but what problem I'm going to tackle with that data? So for example, I remember some years back, an LED US-based company, they have a very nice LED when LED stuff was exploding, but they created kind of a small T-shirt or something for a cat or for a dog, right? Do you think it's a good problem to solve? So application is cool, we are using data science, but we are not really solving a good problem. So that's where here is the real deal of the enterprise and the startups. So the technology is booming, we are getting a lot of research, TensorFlow is there, Azure is there, a lot of there, but what is the business problem? So that's where the real reverse engineering has to do from a data scientist perspective. We need to identify what problem can be solved using the data and the technology. Otherwise, technology is already there, right? So that's where, and this is the most important part. Okay. And then I'll slightly come to the focus is, but this is not easy. Unfortunately, there are a lot of challenges. So I told you big data is there, we have invested, yes, we have the data, we have the people, but unfortunately, you just can't buy the data product. That's where a lot of people are not really agree with me, because the big enterprise has the product. I personally don't believe that you can directly buy off-the-shelf data product. And that's where the real struggle is. Believe me or not. So, and I'll tell you why it is like that. Unfortunately, I just cannot go and buy the data product of the market that easily. And this is one of the very crucial slide of my presentation, that there is a generic formulation of your problem, customer service improvement, right? Or prediction of the, but then there is your problem. And your problem and generic problem, there is a big data gap. There is a big data product gap. That's where lot of failure or the mediocre data product you see in the market. Because everybody is trying to build the generic, right? To get the scale, right? But that's where really the data product gap is, according to me. So I strongly believe that of course there is a generic formulation of your product, but your product may not fit into the generic formulation. And that's why just buying the data product may not help. Okay? So that's one challenge. Second is really hard. So let's accept the fact there is a dearth of the data scientists, we don't have the right skill. It's really, really hard. For example, we work very extensively for last 1 year in the medical imaging domain, and it's hard. It's real hard in terms of how do you read the image, how do you process the image. So it's really, really hard. I'll give one of the examples. So Google, I think a couple of years back, they wanted, there is only a press note from the Google. And why I'm giving Google? Because Google is clearly a research base where they do a lot of work. So they wanted to take the snap of a photograph of a food, and they wanted to find out what is the calorie content. Right? So this problem, lot of people were working on this problem, and still right now, I don't think so there is a good product coming out because it's hard. So Google, if you look at the Google has given only one press release that we have worked on this. But right now, if you look at the Google's portfolio, there is nothing like, the image-based calorie, the calculation mobile app or something web app, right? Because sometimes it's hard. So that's one part. First is you cannot buy the product. Second is really hard. Third is this completely unpredictable edge cases. When I say edge cases in the sense, so there's one client which we were working, and we were using the one of the very prominent API in the market. I was trying to client that we don't use that, but he was saying no, we have to use that. And unfortunately, if you look at we were just taking the photo of point of sale machine. And every time we do that, the output was mobile. So saying it's a mobile phone with the probability of 90%. No matter what you do. Right? Or if you take so that's why I'm saying that these are the edge cases, because there's not enough data. They are completely into different domain. There are not enough training data set, right? Especially in the medical domain, right? So we have some cool application to show at the end. But these are the edge cases, especially in healthcare, in retail, where they are just hard to really come up with the real solution because of lack of the training data set or anything, right? So, and still right now the problem is not solved. No matter what I do, the point of sale machine is a calculator. It's a mobile phone. Right? How do you tackle that, right? So, or sometimes you show, let's say in some of the cases, if you show, let's say French fries, right? So French fries, the API, that's why I'm saying the ready-made API, they call it a prison. If you see it's a prison with a blue line, right? So that's where the real product is, that you cannot, most of the time you just cannot buy, the data product and start using it. So somehow you have to, build it, So these are so many technical problems. Then there are organization problems. So organization last 3 years, 4 years, of course the analytics adoption is getting there. But our experience is, organizations are still not designed to do data science robustly. I'm not saying they are not doing it. I'm saying they are not able to do any robustly, right? So that's another challenge, because lack of skill, lack of data, there are many stuff it, right? So last 2 points before I hand it over to the Somindra. So this is also another important slide which I wanted to draw the attention. If you go to any tech companies, startups, big companies, everyone builds the software in the entirely same model. They call it agile, they call it everything, but the process by and large remains same. That's not really replicating in the data science. That's where also people are doing mistake. It's more not agile, it's more of an experimental development process. So that's where really a slight disconnect I see when the tech companies and the startups actually build the data product. Maybe it's an AI-based mobile app or web app, because the way they build is just like the typical software development agile methodology, because agile is very well established. Data science, there are a lot of unknowns, known unknowns, and there are unknown unknowns. So this is a good lot of startups in the US, especially in the Bay Area, they are taking this approach. Can I use some experimental development approach rather than the agile, which typically, where I know exactly what you have to do, the sprint and, so on and so forth. But this is something approach. And the last, and not the least. So one is, another thing, we are thinking too much complicated algorithm which cannot scale. We need to make sure that, so that's why a lot of people say AI is only POC, we cannot scale, this is not there, we are not there, it will take 5 to 10 years. So the reason is, when you build the product, you have to make sure I'm going to productionize, I'm going to maintain, I'm going to revamp, I'm going to redevelop that. So the best approach is you take the simplest possible algorithm. That's where the initial art side of the data science comes. Which algorithm should I take so that it can scale at the end? So, yeah. So I'll just finish this and then I'll take the quick question. Okay. Now, so this is my last thought in terms of what are the challenges, right? So right now there are not enough specialized UX guys for ML based application. You know what is the difference? Why I'm saying why there are not UX guys for AI based or deep learning based product? Because the output of the AI is not deterministic, it's probabilistic. Right now, whatever mobile application I'm using, I know the output with 100% fact, most of the time, right? But in the AI space, in the deep learning space, the output, the interaction of the mobile app is a probabilistic space. So that's where you really need a good UX. The best example is a Google map. Right? Do you really feel that Google is giving probability of the traffic, right? Do you even feel? You feel really nice, blue line, you really, a red line, whatever. So that's what I'm saying. So right now, there has to be a good exposure research and you have to invest as a startup, as a company in the UX for the AI based application. But that's where again, I see a lot of challenge in the failure side of the application, right? So here at this moment, I'll stop. So we have been working in the data science field for last 5 years. For last 1 year, we have been working very cool products on deep learning. I will show those applications at the end. So this was more of a small overview about what are the data products. Believe me or not, whatever you are doing, if it is related to data, that means you are building a data product. Whether it's intelligent or not, that's a different case. Whether it's smart or not, that's a different case. But right now, majority of the companies, they are all data products, right? So I will show you some of the deep learning, image-based and other cool application at the end, if the time permits. Before that, I can just take a couple of quick questions. But yeah. Pardon?
Yes, created graph created on iPad or
So this is a technical question. I can take it offline, after the talk. So I'll be more than happy to tell in terms of technology what we are doing, how we are doing, and Somitra will be add more light in terms of real technology, how we are doing image recognition, what kind of a tool set, what works, what doesn't work. Any other question? Yeah. Correct. So I'll rephrase this question. So how do last 20 years we have been building heuristic based or rule based algorithm based product, right? So if X is there, Y is there. If X plus 1 is there, my algorithm doesn't know whether it's Y plus 1 or Y plus 2. So in that case, we need a more interaction with the client, for example. So without data, as I said, that's the reason I said, we are trying to build the data product without the data, right? If the client is not sharing enough data, then there is an inherent challenge, right? So deep learning, we need humongous amount of data, right? If I have only 400 lines of, rows and columns, and if I say, hey, I wanted to build neural based application, of course I can do it. I can take R, I can Python, I can just draw some lines, get some Python code. But is it really effective, right? Is it logically making sense or not? So that's where one of the challenges, we really need to get to the enough data. Otherwise, we take the baby steps, right? So you take a very small, very laser focused problem statement, which is applicable within that data frame. That is, so the point which I wanted to make is, why only Google is able to do this? Why not other companies? The simple fact is they have the massive amount of data, right? So that's why if I wanted to build a data product which is intelligent, of course I can base a rule based, but if I want intelligent, I need to gather that data. Now if I don't have, then there is an inherent challenge, and that's the reason you see a lot of failure in the startup ecosystem, right? I claim that, my algorithm is intelligent, but it's not. And so that's where if I don't have data, then you have to think twice even before jumping it or not, right? That's the reason Google can do it, Facebook can do it, LinkedIn can do it, and not all startups cannot do it, right? So that's why the Amazon has the best recommendation engine in the world. That's why Netflix is more, the effective is getting 20% of the revenue is coming only from the recommendation. Amazon, 1/4 of the revenue is coming from recommendation because they have the data, right? So if if I look at the Indian context, if I am an Indian e-commerce company and if I have enough data, then I think it's logical that I can build the recommendation. But as a startup e-commerce app company, I may not be able to build the smart. So I need to get the data, and we really need to start with a very laser focused baby step approach. So. Exactly. So that's why if you read my slide, that's why I just cannot buy off-the-shelf data product. So as a company, I understand the dilemma is I need to build a generic product, but that's where, and I'm not saying we are not there yet. So right now I will not be able to offer all my problem statement a ready-made data product. We are not there yet. 5 years down the line, yes. 2 years down the line, yes. But that's the journey. Last question before we move to Sumitra. Yeah. Yeah.
It is just the design which we are going to make or what is going to be the user experience. We don't think about what is the underlying solution. What is the marriage between UX and
So what I'm trying to say is, so if you do the analysis, I won't take a lot of time. If you look at all the analysis of the data product right now, why some are successful and why are not others is purely the way interaction has been there on the user experience. And the reason is, look at the output. So some of the application which I'm going to show, if I say you are 70% likelihood that you will get cancer. Now this does not make sense in terms of, so how do I communicate that information in the right form? Because 70% has some meaning, right? So that's where, and I can talk offline to give more perspective. I strongly feel that a lot of data product company, whether it's US, India, or all over the place, the UX is playing majority of the role. But right now, I feel we are not there how UX works with the ML-based applications. So they are very, very well, it's an established practice for the other heuristic-based or the rule-based the data products, but not the intelligent data product, right? So I'll give you a simple example. How do I, in the offline mode, how do I run TensorFlow algorithm? If I'm remote process of Chandrapur and I'm just taking the scan of a patient and I want the prediction right now there, and I don't have any internet, how do you do it? So then you will say, no, I need AWS infrastructure to run my algorithm real time and to give prediction. Then I cannot do it in Chandrapur, right? So how do you design that, right? And design is not only the interface, also the entire design process, right? The product design also in a broader sense, okay? So let's talk offline, and then I'll move to the real hardcore the image recognition to my colleague.